힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
South Korea's medical system, it's been in limbo for what, about a year? Actually, it's going to mark the full year of this, a trainee doctor's walkout tomorrow. And this has put patients and the remaining staff into the state of chaos filled with anxiety for patients and for the staff, burnout. But any conversations that could put an end to this, well, they've been kind of petering out in the initial stages. Public health has been compromised in the past year, and it is beyond time for the government and the doctors' groups to make some compromises and reach an agreement. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Wednesday, February 5th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. Can you believe it is already Wednesday, the first Wednesday of February? I can't believe we're already into the second month of the year already. And I hope that you have been kind of braving the cold. It has been awfully cold as of late. I hope you're all doing well. You know, it has been exactly 364 days since the first batch of trainee doctors walked out of hospitals in protest of the government's expansion of the medical school quota. So what has that resulted in? We're talking about a full year of this gap in the medical system, with trainee doctors out of major hospitals and medical students taking leaves of absence from schools. And by the way, as of last month, only 8.7% of trainee doctors were back at work. And even after this full year of this, the government and the medical community are still at odds. But some things have moved along, including admissions for next year's medical schools. We're talking about 2,000 additional spots. Hospitals have learned to go on without the trainee doctors, recovering most of the rates in terms of operations, surgeries, and they've been able to put out fires as they've kind of popped up. But the bigger problem is what may be ahead. Doctors who have remained at work are simply exhausted. Medical professors have had to put off research, and the National Medical Insurance has been hemorrhaging money to keep the emergency medical system running. Of course, there have been attempts at discussions, talks, but they have all fallen through thus far. And experts say that, you know, this golden time we talk about when it comes to medicine, well, it's now time to address the admissions quota for the 2026 school year, which could be a turning point for the situation. And the future of the country's medical system may ride on this golden time. All right, we're going to turn our attention to our text topic right now. You know, in the Korean tradition, there are apparently 5 health-related fortunes kind of hitting the jackpot, genetics. Let's talk about them. The 5 are good teeth, good eyesight, good hearing, good digestive system, and going to the bathroom regularly. You know what that means, right? If you've ever dealt with constipation, you know what I'm saying. So which of these fortunes do you have? Oh, do we have anybody out there that has hit the jackpot, like all 5? Oh, that would be so amazing. And if you don't have any of them, that's fine too, because you can tell us which fortune would you like to have. Okay? 자, 예로부터 우리 신체의 5가지 복을 강조 하잖아요. 국내에서. It's Korean custom to do so. And we call them 오복. 오복 너무 많이 들어봤을 거예요. 예, 그래서 치아, 소화, 시력, 청력, 그리고 화장실 잘 가기 중 나는 뭐를 가지고 있을까 생각해 보시고 그리고 내가 이 중 얻고 싶은 복은 자, 그리고 I don't want to hear like, oh, I want all five. Of course we want all five. But if you had to choose just one, which would you choose of the ones that you don't have? So think about that. Send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the platform and you can find our channel by typing in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송. And then you can subscribe, log in, and chat with our other listeners out there. And then on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk. Same thing there. To find our channel, type in BEFM 부산 영어 방송 and add us as a friend. And also, the ways you can listen to us. If you're in the Busan area on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. And like I said, we are streaming live right now on YouTube, but you can watch again at your leisure. We are also available on two apps, the BFM app and the Patbang app, which are both free to download. Very easy to do. We give you a variety of ways to listen to us. Looking ahead to our morning together. So for this Wednesday, we're going to meet someone new. Some of you might already know her voice. Her name is Claire. She's going to come in for the next few weeks for In the Now. But it's going to be a little different because we're going to focus on reality show trends in media. So that's coming up real soon. In hour number 1 and hour number 2, Jennifer with Skills 101. And for our special interview, we've been talking about this. We talked about it yesterday as well. Trump's tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. So yes, I know that there's been an announcement that there's going to be a suspension of tariffs, at least for the time being, for Canada and Mexico. But we're going to find out with our expert in hour number 2 what all of this really might mean, not just for those 3 countries, but for Korea and the world at large. That's coming up in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It's now 7:07. These are today's headlines. Yoon admits to troop dispatch to Election Commission. President Yoon Suk-yeol said he ordered sending troops to offices of the National Election Commission, the NEC, during his martial law declaration as he suspected election fraud allegations. China hits back at U.S. with import tariffs. Beijing announced a broad package of economic measures targeting the United States on Tuesday local time, on the same day the U.S. imposed 10% tariffs on Chinese imports. OpenAI chief builds ties with Korean tech giants. OpenAI chief Sam Altman met with heads of Kakao Corporation, Samsung Electronics chair, and SoftBank Group during his visit to South Korea to discuss artificial intelligence cooperation. Heavy snow grounds flights amid massive cold snap. Multiple flights out of Gimpo, Jeju, and Cheongju were grounded due to heavy snow, and dozens of passenger ships were canceled across the western coast from high sea alerts yesterday. 10 dead in deadliest mass shooting in Sweden. Swedish police say around 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an adult education center in the central city of Årbo, in the worst mass shooting in Swedish history. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you been kind of dealing with the cold weather? It's awfully cold, right?
I think I got used to it so fast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, today
Okay.
didn't feel that bad. Yeah.
Ah.
Because there was no wind chill. So
Yesterday was really windy though,
Yeah.
indeed, right? Well, let's talk about, the 5 blessings, 5 fortunes, the obok. Do you have any of them? Were you born with any?
I think my sense of hearing is really good.
How good?
Because I remember in my elementary school,
Yes.
so it was my music class, and there was 청음 test. So which means my music teacher would just hit a note on piano, and then I would just pinpoint what that
That's
note
called
was.
like being pitch perfect. 절대음.
그건 아닌 것 같아요.
Like that ability.
Really?
Really?
I should have, like
Stuck with music? Or do you play any musical instruments?
No. But I can play the piano a little bit.
Wow, but that's actually a huge talent. So you have a good ear.
Yeah.
Anything else of the 5?
My bowel movement is in check. Thank God. Yeah.
Going to the restroom, having that bowel movement, regular bowel movement, it's really a blessing. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, you're lucky. If you had to choose one more, which one would you pick?
Just wish that I had.
Yeah.
Good teeth.
Good teeth.
Yes, I need them because some of my front teeth are crooked. So, yeah, I should have worn braces. I blame my mom. She neglected.
Oh no, Sue's mom. She blames you. But thank you for sharing all those tidbits about your life. We're going to jump into our first update. Air Busan has introduced new fire prevention measures to minimize the risk of in-flight fires caused by lithium-ion batteries. And of course, we know the story with what happened, right?
These measures will take effect starting February 7th. The airline will implement enhanced baggage checks, stricter in-flight storage rules, and improved crew training. So to be more specific, first, for baggage checks and tagging, at boarding gates, staff will ask passengers if their luggage contains lithium-ion batteries, and tagged bags, which are confirmed as battery-free, will be allowed in overhead compartments. Crew will inspect any untagged baggage. Second, for passenger notifications and consent, during ticket booking and check-in, passengers must agree to restrictions on storing power banks, which is 보조 battery, in overhead bins, and reminder text will be sent 1 day before departure, and in-flight safety announcements will be increased from 2 to 3 times. And third, for enhancing crew fire response training, new fire suppression training videos and realistic smoke simulation drills will be conducted. Fire-resistant gloves and additional fire suppression tools will be provided as well. And Air Busan CEO Jung Byung-seop emphasized that these proactive measures will help reduce fire risks and ensure passenger safety.
Yes, because of the theory is, once again, the investigation is ongoing, but one of the theories was it might have been caused by one of these types of batteries. So that's good to know. Thanks for letting us know on that front. Next up, let's talk about this 2.2 trillion won Hwangryongsan Mountain Observatory project that's in our city. It's facing there's been mixed reactions.
Yes. Busan's plan to develop a tourism complex and cable car at the summit of Hwangryongsan Mountain has sparked opposition from civic groups. The developer is Daewon Plus Group, and planned facilities are 118 meters observatory tower and theme-based food court, museum, media art space, outdoor pubs, 539-meter long cable car is called Ropeway, and this connects Jeonpo-dong's leisure park to the observatory.
Sure.
And tourism centers on both ends of the cable car. And the project aims to transform the area into a new landmark for Busan. It has passed architectural review, but is waiting for the environmental impact assessment approval due to radio interference concerns with existing broadcast transmission towers.
Oh, and of course those towers, very important, right? Well, tell us, basically, in bulk, who's for and kind of against this project?
So supporters are Busan City and developers. They claim it will boost the local economy during a domestic recession. The developers will offer 3% of profits and 200 billion won, 200억 won, as infrastructure investment for the city. And opposition comes from environmental groups. They warn against overdevelopment in Busan's green lungs. And there are concerns about landscape disruption, excessive lighting, and harm to wildlife. So they accuse the project of of prioritizing corporate profits over public interest.
Yes.
And if the environmental impact assessment approves the project, final permits will be issued and construction will begin. Opponents continue to demand cancellation, though.
I see. So thanks for going over this very local issue, which is important to Busan, of course. Next up, let's talk about the Busan Metropolitan Council, which is proposing an ordinance to support this Busan Gyeongnam administrative integration.
Yes, yesterday we talked about how Suyeonggu and Namgu are planning to integrate, and Busan City Council members Lee Jun-ho and Kim Yo-jung plan to announce this ordinance during the 326th extraordinary session, 임시회, today. And the ordinance aims to foster public consensus, provide administrative and financial support, and establish a public opinion committee, 공론화위원회, to guide the process. The committee was launched in November 2023 and has already held 2 meetings to discuss its roles and activities. If enacted, the ordinance will help systematize the committee's operations, enhance public understanding of the integration, and address regional decline caused by population outflow and capital area overpopulation.
I see. Well, thanks for giving us a heads up on that. And next up, let's talk about this. Busan City Mayor Park Hyung-jun announced that through February 17th, the city will be recruiting teams to participate in the 2025 Youth Community Activity Support Project. So first, what is this project?
So this 청년 community 활동 지원 사업 promotes diverse youth activities and encourage social participation by supporting self-organized youth groups based on shared interests. This year, the program will expand its scale by selecting a total of 50 teams.
Yes. So what are the types of teams that they're looking for?
So there are 4. So talent donation teams, 재능 기부형, they will focus on volunteering and sharing skills. And community activation teams, 공동체형, and these groups will aim at revitalizing local communities. And social problem solving teams, 사회 문제 해결형, these groups will identify and address social issues such as youth out-migration and employment conditions in Busan. And there's self-development in Busan-specific activity teams, 자율형, and these teams will engage in independent activities based on shared interests.
So those are the 4 different types of teams. So anything else that we need to know about the teams, though?
So each team will receive funding according to its category. This year, the project will provide additional support by matching youth communities with dedicated spaces to ensure that they can operate sustainably and stably. Additionally, a youth networking program will be launched to strengthen social connections among young people.
I see. Well, we want to know about the application, eligibility, and the process itself.
Any youth community consisting of at least 5 members aged 18 to 39 and based in Busan is eligible to apply. After the final screening process in March, the selected teams will begin their activities in April. Applications can be submitted online through the Busan Youth platform. For more details, applicants can refer to announcements on the Busan Youth platform or the Busan Economic Promotion Agency website.
I see. Well, thanks for giving us all the Busan updates this morning. Stay warm, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Catherine.
And I'll be back with our traffic and weather for right now. It's now 7:18, and this is your traffic report for right now. There is some congestion building on Luno Samsungdaedo from Myeongji Underpass to Shinho Bridge. Also, traffic buildup on Dongso Overpass from Pumniko Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate. And quite slow on Name Expressway from the Namsanjeong Station to Nakdong Bridge right now. And as for the weather, even colder today than yesterday. So currently, -7 degrees Celsius under clear skies, with the daytime high forecast to go up to around 3 degrees Celsius. The real field temperature might be even colder because of the wind chill. There is a cold wave effect preliminary report in place over Busan right now. Across the nation, another cold blast across the country with morning lows of minus 10 degrees or even colder. Heavy snow coming down in Jeolla, Jeju, Ulleungdo, and also Dokdo. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio.
Good morning.
So how are you feeling?
I'm doing well. By the way, I meant that I can't feel anything because of the cold that's outside in the comments. I'm just numb all
You're
over.
numb. Right.
All of our extremities. But I do have that residual cold, and I don't know. I'm enjoying the attention, so I'm just going with it.
You're soaking it in.
I know. I'm just talk about me more.
Okay. I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have any of the O-books?
I was born with really good eyesight. It runs in my family, and then I ruined it.
Because you read a lot.
I read a lot, and I
With a
just didn't
flashlight.
listen to my mom and listen to your mom.
Yes.
Just in general, just do it. But yeah, so I now wear contacts.
Okay,
and
what
even
else?
with my contacts, my dad with his almost 70, I don't know how old you are, eyes, he can see better and clearer and further than me.
Oh, so genetically.
Genetically, I have
blessed.
great eyes, just not me.
just-
I have pretty good hearing, and then
Okay.
I also teach the listening portion of an exam, so that just makes me like a great eavesdropper.
Owning it on owning
I'm
those
just
skills, right?
I'm nosy. I will listen, and I'm just like, oh, my ears are perking.
Right.
What else? Yeah, and I have for 2 years running 0 cavities, but that's because 3 years ago I burned like 50만 원 at the dentist because of cavities, and after that I brush and floss like no other. Because that'll get you to wake up and take care of your teeth.
My dentist
Yeah.
hates me.
Oh,
Can I brag a little? Because I've been blessed.
Oh.
And I'll be honest, I don't floss every day.
But
I put it
you
out
still
there.
don't.
I've never had a cavity. Ever.
Oh, man.
In all my years.
Oh,
So
man.
that's why I know it's like a genetic blessing. Thank you, mom, dad, whomever.
Yeah, thank you, parents.
And my teeth are relatively straight.
You never had braces?
I've never had braces.
I had braces for the entirety of middle school and almost all of high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and in my photos that I showed you of my
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
I
little
remember.
bracket peeking out. Yeah.
Charto.
Yeah, the real
Very cute.
Yes.
All right. Let's jump into our first story. We're going to begin with President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment hearing. So a series of military commanders and intelligence officials have appeared as witnesses, right?
It was a big day at the Constitutional Court yesterday. So major, former, and even current military commanders who have also been charged with insurrection, they overall either refused to answer questions from at least the National Assembly representatives or stayed vague. So first, the former Capital Defense Commander Lee Jin-woo, he refused to answer the National Assembly's question on 89 different occasions. He also stated that he was never ordered by President Yoon Suk-yeol to stop the lawmakers from voting to withdraw martial law on December 3rd.
Right.
But this is exactly the opposite of what the prosecution has uncovered in its investigation. And then moving on to another major witness, former Defense Counterintelligence Commander Yeo In-hyung said that he received orders to send forces from the former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun and not the president. He also refused to testify on other accounts, and while staying vague on orders to allegedly arrest Democratic Party Chair Lee Jae-myung, People Power Party's former chair Han Dong-un, and National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik.
Ah, yes. But there was a direct testimony against President Yoon from a former intelligence agency official.
Right. So this is a statement that's making a lot of headlines. This was from the former first deputy chief of the National Intelligence Service, the NIS, Hong Chang-won.
Okay.
So he testified in front of court that he was directly ordered by President Yoon Suk-yeol to arrest lawmakers and also help the work by the Defense Counterintelligence Command. Hong, however, he said he was not told specifically whom to arrest, and so for that he had to call former Commander Yeo In-hyung to figure that out.
I see. Well, the president also testified in court yesterday. So let's go over what he said.
Right, so he did admit to having spoken to Hong Chang-won, but what he said completely different from what Hong testified to. So President Yoon said that he told the former deputy chief Hong to help the Defense Counterintelligence Command, but this had nothing to do with the martial law imposition.
I see.
Yoon also admitted to having directly ordered for a dispatch of military forces to the National Election Commission on the night of the 3rd, December 3rd. But he stated that it wasn't for anything to do with a criminal investigation, but to screen the NEC's electronic system over problems over, once again, the election fraud or election system that he claims that he had felt existed even going back to his prosecutorial days.
I see. So that's what a lot happened. And we unfolded that. Thank you for going over the details. Now we're going to turn to Trump's tariffs. So Mexico and Canada, they have put out the urgent fires, at least for the time being.
Right.
Getting like a month-long reprieve, a pause in the tariffs, but not China. China is hitting back at the U.S.
Right, so we might be seeing the first signs of another trade war brewing.
Yes.
So there has been, of course, a 10% U.S. tariff on all Chinese imports going into the U.S. That began a minute past midnight on Tuesday local time.
Right.
So President Trump says that the Chinese tariffs are a response to the trade deficit. Basically, China is exporting a lot more to the U.S. than it is importing of American goods. And also on top of that, the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. from China.
Right.
However, the day before these went into effect, Beijing also announced its own set of tariffs against American goods. And this includes a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas, or LNG. Also, another 10% tariff on crude oil, agriculture machinery, and certain vehicles, as well as an anti-monopoly investigation into Google. So it's not only imposing tariffs, but also hitting some American firms, and also an export controls of 25 types of rare metal products. And it also added PVH Corporation, which is the holdings company for the clothing brand Calvin Klein and other brands, onto its unreliable entities list.
Oh.
So what this means, it's simply put, it's a blacklist. So basically, companies that are on here may face a number of sanctions, including fines and having work visas of their foreign employees revoked. So on top of that, the the Commerce Ministry said that it is going to still go to the World Trade Organization, or the WTO, for dispute settlement in response to Donald Trump's tariffs.
I see. And of course, we're going to be covering more of this with our expert in hour number 2 to get the nitty-gritty details. In business news right now, though, one of the hottest issues is giving the semiconductor industry an exemption for the 52-hour work week. So we're bringing it back to, of course, domestic news, right?
Right. So the government and the ruling party, they're pushing for a semiconductor special legislation. In Korean, that's 반도체 특별법. And one part of this is to give the industry an exception to this 52-hour work week limit. So according to the ruling People Power Party, or the PPP, they claim that this strict implementation of the 52-hour work week cap, it's weakening the competitiveness of the Korean semiconductor industry. And actually, interestingly, Democratic Party's chair Lee Jae-myung, and of course that party is usually on the generally the pan-pro-labor side.
Yes.
He actually took a bit of a turn on his previous position as well. So that's because during a policy discussion forum this week, he presented kind of a compromise, giving very specific income criteria to for those who could be exempt. So for instance, high-income earning researchers who make over, and this is what he said, 130 million or 150 million won, so six-figure earners,
Sure.
with their consent, could be given flexibility on when they want to focus and work more versus when not to during certain busy periods.
I see.
Anyways, going back to the 당정, the government and the ruling party, yesterday they urged the special legislation to be voted at the National Assembly within this month.
However, the labor unions are against all of those.
Right, so we have to get all sides of the story. So the
Sure.
two major umbrella unions in the country, they held an urgent press conference and called on Lee Jae-myung to immediately stop these discussions about giving an exemption, calling it a betrayal for the labor side.
Okay.
So their position is that the exemption to a 52-hour work week, so basically letting workers work more, wouldn't necessarily strengthen the competitiveness of the industry, but only drive people to more work and in return basically destroy human dignity. And actually some researchers from these companies like Samsung Electronics and another major chip maker, SK Hynix, they've been quoted by the media saying simply working more hours doesn't necessarily lead to innovation. So according to work hour figures that was disclosed by Democratic Party lawmaker Lee Yong-woo, so Samsung Electronics used their special extended work hour on 22 occasions between 2023 and last October. So they basically asked for special permissions to lengthen the work week system.
Right.
Whereas SK Hynix did not use a single extension during the same period. And there are many other facts that we are kind of gleaning over, but going to the conclusion, at least by the lawmaker, SK Hynix exceeded Samsung Electronics in sales profit last year. So the conclusion, at least from this one side, is that once again, longer work week doesn't necessarily lead to higher sales or more innovation. Also, they point out while the special legislation would get consent from the workers saying, yes, I do want to work more than 52 hours per week.
Yes.
The question is, do they really? Or are they just kind of being pressured by the corporate culture?
That is definitely of concern. One of the hottest issues, once again, in the business sector. All right, so, this week, we are kind of like slowly kind of adjusting to the whole 5-day work week after the really long holiday. Just looking back, it seems like ages ago.
Remember when we used to not come into work? And that was really nice.
That was really
I
nice.
love work. I love my job. But remember when you slept in? And that was also really nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. Well, the point of this long holiday, it was to increase demand with an additional temporary holiday. So, big question. That was the intention. And was that achieved?
Well, we have a lot more. I mean, demand is not just one figure, but in terms of domestic travel, no. Other spending will have to see more as numbers come in, but
Okay.
the long holiday actually led to the highest demand for overseas travel because people had up to 9 days. So between the period of January 24th and February 2nd,
Yes.
about 2.17 million people traveled overseas. So we're looking at about 210,000 people per day, the highest airport traffic yet. The most popular destination was Japan with about 276,000 visitors. And actually, with a weakened yen, a record 8.8 million people went to Japan last year.
Yes. So let's talk about the domestic travel. What
Right.
happened?
So a lot more time will be needed to kind of go through highway traffic, but immediate data is available to flights to Jeju. So 230,000 travelers went to Jeju between January 25th and the 30th, showing that the additional holiday caused more of a rush overseas than at least domestic travel.
Because it was such a long holiday.
It was. It was.
Well, thank you for going over all the news. And of course, we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And we are ready for our first song break. So here we go. Brother Louie by Modern Talking.
Love is a burning fire, stay. 'Cause then the flames grow higher, babe. Don't let them steal
All right, so welcome back, everybody. Let's get to our text topic. So we're talking about the 5 health-related fortunes, or the 오복, as they say in Korea. Which do you have, or which would you like to have? So I was thinking about this as well. So I already told you about my relatively good teeth because of genetics. Never had a cavity. Dentist always says, come back next year for your cleaning. And then good eyesight. Haley mentioned this too. Looking at my parents, they have really good eyesight, but I was a flashlight reader. I used to be under the covers, reading with a flashlight, and then I kind of realized right going into middle school, junior high school, I felt it. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't see things on the chalkboard or the whiteboard or whatever they call it these days, right? And then I resisted. I didn't want to get the glasses, but I knew I had to. And so I started wearing glasses in junior high. As for everything else, hearing, I have amazing hearing. 근데 people sometimes are kind of annoyed and amazed because I can hear everything. Like whispering conversations across, on the other side of the house, I can hear everything. Yes, so those are the things that I have been blessed with. Looking at some of your messages, some of you have some amazing, amazing 오복s out there. But I saw JB's message who said no 복. So he thinks he hasn't been blessed with any of those. However, think of it. I think you're blessed with at least something. And Michael says, 저는 화장실 잘 가기를 갖고 있습니다. 고등학생 때 10분 쉬는 시간에 3분은 도시락, he says it, 까먹고 다 먹으면 바로 화장실 가서 볼일 보고 다음 시간 수업 시작하기 전에 교실로 오고 했습니다. 해서 친구들이 저보고 넌 장이 구불구불한 게 아니고 직장인가? So he talks about in English, to translate, paraphrase, basically he's been blessed with good bowel movement. When he was in high school, it would only take him literally 3 minutes to get through his packed lunch and then do his business in the restroom and then go back to class like it never happened. So that's actually a really good blessing. That's something that I'm hoping for too as well. We're going to get into Cat's Pick for now. For Cat's Pick, if you know me, if you've been following the show, you know that there are certain topics that I really love covering for Cat's Pick. One of them, medical breakthroughs. So this is a story about a man who had a really successful career on Wall Street, and his life changed after an accident at a swimming pool. Here's a clip from NBC News.
For years, Keith Thomas lived out his dream in Manhattan, managing hundreds of people for a Wall Street firm, and few worries weighing him down.
What did you like to do?
Play tennis, go jogging on the river.
But a Long Island pool accident in 2020 changed his whole life, paralyzing the 45-year-old from the mid-chest down and robbing him of sensation and movement in all of his limbs, at least. Until a medical breakthrough at Northwell Health's Feinstein Institute for Medical Research, where lead bioengineer Chad Boughton and his team developed a technology they call a double neural bypass. Chips are implanted in a patient's brain, and the signals for sensation and movement sent back and interpreted through artificial intelligence, and then redirected to the body and spine, creating a loop that could prove life-changing.
Taking someone who had lost the ability to move their limbs, to sense or touch things and actually feel the sensation of that, to restore those abilities to the patient.
Yes, that's exactly right. We have finally discovered that the signals in the brain are still there and strong even after a traumatic injury.
Other neurotechnology companies, like Elon Musk's Neuralink, have implanted chips in patients to assist functionality, but recovery and restoring damaged neurons appears to be new ground.
Is it wild to you to think that you have become the first person to sort of blaze this path and show that it's possible?
Yeah.
We watched as Keith managed movements that only months ago would have been impossible.
That's actually sensory data.
From picking up a cup.
What are you feeling, Keith?
Like a jolt of energy.
To navigating a quick bite of Twizzlers.
Got it.
Wow. Last year, surgeons managed to place those chips in Keith's brain in areas that they spent months mapping out. leading to incremental improvements. And then a watershed moment.
I'm ready.
When Keith actually felt his sister's palm for the first time since the accident.
That was an incredible moment, and there wasn't a dry eye in the lab.
And with 5 million people living in the U.S. with paralysis and 100 million worldwide, the significance is hard to overstate.
100 million people around the world with some kind of paralysis. So, I don't know. I love these stories, these medical breakthrough stories, and I certainly hope that this can be accessible for many more people in the future. This was Kat's Pick for Wednesday.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
Guess what, everybody? It's time for In the Now, and we have Claire in the studio with us. So let's get a little bit of a welcome. So why don't you introduce yourself to our wavers? So say something.
All right. Good morning, Morning Wave in Busan. My name is Claire, and I'm doing the 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. news here at BFM. Also, I just started, so please bear with me. This is my first time doing the live show, besides the news, but especially with the cameras on and communication with viewers. I'm pretty nervous.
Oh, don't be.
But thank you all in advance for your patience and kindness.
I love that. You're like, just from the beginning, from the onset, I thank you in advance because you better be nice to me.
Yep.
I like it. I like it. So, Claire, don't be nervous. We're going to be fine. We're going to have fun for the next few weeks. So this is, the segment itself is In the Now, but there's like a subtitle to this, right? What are you going to be talking about? So what's the title?
All right, so I know you guys talk about trends this time. So to go with that flow, with just adding a little bit of my personal interest, we're going to talk about the reality show trend in the media in the now.
I like reality shows. Okay. So what's going on right now?
So apparently the dominant trend in recent entertainment program is the dating shows. So in recent years, especially South Koreans, reality dating show have diversified.
Yes.
So exploring like various types. So including, and there's a lot of, not only we have these days have only TV channels, we also have so many OTTs.
That's true.
And they also produce their own things.
There's so many shows. Like I can't keep up with how many there are.
I know. And these days I need to figure out which show and where is that from. So do I have that OTT service? Kind of another question.
Yes.
But anyway, notable trends including such as divorce and second chances.
Sure.
And recently there was sibling participation.
Oh, really?
And the most hot topic, it would be ex-couples reuniting, you might have heard of, and marriage-focused dating, which is the main source. And with those, fueled by popularity of those shows, reaction videos, so-called 과몰입, like viewers deeply immersed in the programs, that those kind of shows also gain tractions.
Right. So give us some examples of the shows.
So probably the examples, mainly 환승연애.
I heard that's highly popular. I haven't watched that yet. Right. What else?
And 나는 솔로, which is the most popular, I guess. 하트 시그널, and lately 솔로지옥, etc.
I don't want to say forced, but certain family members, they really enjoy that. So last night I was sitting on the sofa.
Oh, last night. You might be more up to date than me then.
Because it comes out on a certain day, So we were on the sofa.
So I'm sure you guys all heard about them.
Do you watch any of them?
I watch all of them.
Oh, you do? Oh, that's your thing.
Basically myself. So I thought it would be interesting as a non-married individual myself. And I thought it would be interesting to share opinions with like you or like
Listeners
other
out there?
listeners out there, married perspective as well, so we can talk about that.
For waivers out there, do you watch these like reality shows based on like finding love, we'll say, or dating or whatever? So, I personally, like I said, I do watch at least one of them, but not the others. It's kind of like an outlet to release lots of tension and just like commenting. But that's the whole point. Like we're talking as we're watching, and
That's
we're like
the main point.
arguing with each other. Like, no, she should go with the other guy.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, we were saying that. Yes.
So, as I mentioned it before, I can comfortably say that I watch all of them.
Okay.
Of course, I mainly watch News First.
Because you're a newscaster.
Yes, I don't forget about that, being professional here.
Of course.
But anyway, I watch shows also not only from Korea, all over the world.
Sure.
And it's quite interesting to see all those differences, depending on country though.
So different.
They're so different. The vibe and how they edit, how they behave.
Oh, yeah.
But
and even like the level of intimacy.
yes.
Like hand holding versus like
in Korea,
oh
that's
gosh.
like wow.
wow. Like even like 머리 기대는 거. Like on the helicopter ride yesterday, everybody was like, wow. But like compared to like what you see in the
wow
UK
about
or the
like
States,
about touching. They haven't
any
touched
kind of
yet.
Yes.
But then-
한국말로는 스킨십이라고 하잖아요.
Yeah.
Any touching or PDA, and we're just like, wow, what's going on, right? Yes.
So we were going to talk about that
Yes.
in the upcoming weeks. But
Ooh,
anyway,
yes.
today we're going to focus on Korean shows. So why, Catherine? Why do you think the dating reality shows are so popular these days?
I think this is just my personal reason. I think it's because like as a non-single person, I can live vicariously and comment and give advice through the TV at the screen at the people there. Obviously, you can't like, determine what's going to happen, but it's like, I'm not dating, but I can comment on people dating. What do you think is the appeal in your opinion?
So for me,
Yes.
it could be different depending on the shows. I see those in two main types.
Okay.
One could be more realistic shows, like, for example, like 나는 솔로. So closer to regular people like me, non-celebrities on the show. So for those, I take them more as like social experiment, I'd say.
Social experiment, okay.
Yeah. Also learn how to behave around the people
Yes.
and what I shouldn't do around the people. So that's happening all the time when I actually watching 나는 솔로. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Like, oh, I should not do this. So I can not only gain insight about dating, but a very valuable tips on human relationships as well.
Oh, okay. Anything else?
So the other main type would be dating show feature, like probably similar to what you said. So dating show featuring unrealistic characters,
Like you kind of wonder, like, are they on here
yeah,
to be on TV or
Yep.
to really date?
exactly.
Right.
So like almost celebrity looking individuals.
They
like,
are.
For example, like we talked about Solo Jiok, like
It's like-
Ha트 Signal.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, unrealistic. I have never
Right.
seen those people on the street or whatever. So I watch them like I'm experiencing, like you did, romance like in secondhand.
Right.
Like it can never happen in my life. So, but I'm enjoying watching them.
Yes, yes,
Kind of thing.
yes. So I'm surprised that you kind of watch a wide variety. So you're like kind of the expert,
I'd say.
the everyday expert, everyday person expert on this, right? So what else have you found as you did your research for the show?
Yeah. So for today, I not only am watching them, I also did some research about these trends.
Yes.
So experts suggest that as viewers, these days they put more focus on authenticity. So they value authenticity. So they desire to see those authenticity even in the show. So that's showed in the media. So that drives both sensationalism and popularity.
Okay, okay.
So that also point out the participation of ordinary people like 나는 솔로 rather than celebrities. That would be the key factor making these shows very relatable to everyone and engaging for the audience.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and as you know, in the past there always has been dating shows, but there always been celebrities. So sometimes they're like fake not
Yes,
not
yes.
very authentic as like these days. And also in the past, people learned dating from the books. And today, these dating shows catering those curiosity of those
Yes.
interests in other relationships, and they offer them to like the chance to observe them up close, like
Right.
all those emotions and things like that. But Catherine, do you remember those books about
I've
dating?
never read a book on dating, but definitely just from experience. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, I've never dated. My roommate, aka my husband, was the first person I dated. I don't lie on air, so I think just through experience. And I feel like those experiences, though, have helped me shape who I am today. Like without those experiences, even heartbreak, even feeling angry, and sometimes, the dysfunction of said relationship, it does make you who you are today. At least for me, that's how I feel. Because
Exactly.
some things you just can't learn from a book.
No.
So, are there any concerns about any of these trends these days, though?
So there absolutely is. The expert said the watching dating program can also serve as a form of self-evaluation. So leading the viewers to compare themselves with the participants.
That's true.
So obviously that is
Yes.
a natural process. So these comparison may sometimes lower their expectations
Yes.
for real life relationships. So as I probably mentioned it before, also I thought like, oh, it can never happen in my life. It's lowering my expectation. Well, it may happen in my life. I should change my thoughts. So they suggest us, so instead of becoming overly immersed in dating shows, it's much more important to view on-screen romance as separately from my own and make an effort to experience real relationship firsthand.
That's true. That's a good point that you make, to make the distinction. They're called reality shows, but reality
That's not real.
show. It's a show, right? It's a program for entertainment. So that's something to keep in mind. But thank you for bringing this inaugural in the now, but all about like reality shows. I love it. So I'm sure we have so many responses from our listeners who are welcoming you to the Morning Wave and Busan family. So we'll check in with you next week. And of course, you can check out Claire on the news at 4 and 6 p.m., correct?
See you later.
All right. Thank you, Claire.
Okay, bye.
And it's time to wrap up hour number 1. We have Panorama by Eyes One as requested by Betty. I'll be back at 8.
바람 끝에 찾아온 작은 기억 귓가에 퍼지는 깊은 울림 Ring my bell 아름다운 내 맘을 한가득 담아서 조금씩 그는 잊을 거야 너와 나 손끝이 될 때 eyes on me 내 말이 들린다면 더 크게 외쳐줘 조용히 시작된 한 편의 드라마야 깜찍했던 조각들을 펼쳐 다시 한번 지나가는 그때 계절의 풍경 오빠랑 우리 이야기 꾸밀까 싶어 멈추지 않게 두 눈을 감고 느껴봐 이 순간 슈티가 파노라마 깊은 어둠 속 빛나는 별처럼 우린 어디서든 서로를 알아볼 수 있어 널 비추지 마 너와 나 그 맘속에 영원히 피어나 전화되는 순간 Love like panorama 끝도 없이 두근대 내 맘은 꺼지 않아 지금 같이 가자 너에게만 보여줄게 끝도 없는 fantasy야 너무 휘휘감아 panorama 기억의 문을 열어 저 푸른 언덕 위에 무지개 집으로 초대할게 밤에는 campfire 아쉬움 남지 않게 내게 전부 보여줘 빛으로 물든 지금 영원해 너의 꿈에 데려가줘 take on me 작은 숨결 하나하나 놓치기 싫은걸 다 담아둘 거야 너무나 특별했어 네 눈속에 반짝이는 star
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. Yoon admits to troop dispatch to Election Commission. President Yoon Suk-yeol said he ordered sending troops to offices of the National Election Commission, or NEC, during his martial law declaration, as he suspected election fraud allegations. The admission came during the fifth hearing of his impeachment trial at the Constitutional Court yesterday, where he again denied allegations that he ordered military commanders to drag lawmakers out of parliament in an attempt to prevent them from blocking the martial law imposition. Former head of the Capital Defense Command, Lee Ji-nu, testified that he did not receive orders from Yoon to block lawmakers. China hits back at U.S. with import tariffs. Beijing announced a broad package of economic measures targeting the United States on Tuesday local time, on the same day the U.S. imposed 10% tariffs on Chinese imports. The Chinese Ministry of Finance announced a 15% tax on certain types of coal and liquefied natural gas, or LNG, and a 10% tariff on crude oil, agricultural machinery, and certain vehicles to go into effect on February 10th. The date gives the two countries time for discussions, and the White House said that Presidents Donald Trump and Xi Jinping have scheduled a call for later this week. OpenAI chief builds ties with Korean tech giants. OpenAI chief Sam Altman met with heads of Kakao Corporation, Samsung Electronics Chair, and SoftBank Group during his visit to South Korea to discuss artificial intelligence or AI cooperation. Kakao and OpenAI announced a partnership to use ChatGPT on Kakao's new AI service and to develop joint AI products. Later in the day, Altman, Samsung Electronics Chair Lee Jae-yong, and SoftBank head Masayoshi Son or Son Jung-ui met to discuss AI cooperation. Altman is visiting Seoul as part of his Asia tour, during which he is meeting with investors, developers, and corporate partners to strengthen OpenAI's industry leadership, including the Stargate project to build new AI infrastructure in the U.S. Heavy snow grounds flights amid massive cold snap. Multiple flights out of Gimpo, Jeju, and Cheongju were grounded due to heavy snow, and dozens of passenger ships were canceled across the western coast from high sea alerts yesterday. The massive cold front brought heavy snow across Jeolla, Chungcheong, and Jeju regions yesterday, with over 1 meter of snow over Mount Halla. The cold wave is expected to continue today, with morning lows dropping to 17 below zero in some regions, with fierce winds dragging down real field temperatures. Ten dead in deadliest mass shooting in Sweden. Swedish police say around 10 people have been killed in a shooting at an adult education center in the central city of Åbo, in the worst mass shooting in Swedish history. The police believe that the shooter is among the dead and that he acted alone, but added that a motive is not yet clear. Investigation has launched as investigations are still being identified for a more precise death toll. This was News Highlights. It's time for Wage Wage. Haley's back.
Hello, hello.
The sun is up and it is reflecting on that window of that apartment.
See it in your eyes.
Like, you see it in my eyes. Do I look brighter?
You glisten. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
you're so sweet. All right, we're going to jump into our first story. A group of bank employees allegedly colluded with brokers to give out tens of billions of won in bad loans.
Right. So if you've ever tried to get a loan at a bank, or if you've gone to a bank trying to look for a pretty decent savings package right now, and you're like, ugh, where's the money? Well, maybe here. At least some parts of it are. So employees of KB Kookmin and NH Nongyap allegedly conspired with multiple loan brokers, drafted false contracts to give out massive loans to, well, circulating back to themselves or these people that the brokers are representing. So this was found out via an inspection by the FSS, or the Financial Supervisory Service, Kumgamon. So one fairly high-ranked manager of KB Bank works with brokers, allegedly, and real estate contractors, and received false home purchasing documents. So that was used as basis for mortgage to ghost lenders, because the people didn't exist, on 291 different occasions, totaling the amount of 89.2 billion won.
Okay.
The real estate contractors who took part in this, they were apparently suffering from financial woes, so potential motive behind this operation.
Right.
And then the employee himself or herself allegedly received monetary and material compensations in return. And then going to the NH Nongyap Bank, employees of this particular branch also used similar methods of ghost lenders and false paperwork to allegedly give out almost 65 billion won in false loans. And the branch manager and the team manager allegedly received 130 million won, so 1억 3천만 won, in return for such false loans. So the FSS has passed these cases on to the authorities, but once again, if you have accounts in these banks, this is your money that's being laundered basically into these operations. And also FSS pointed out that the KB Bank did not properly conduct oversight or supervision of their branches despite these continued accidents and incidents.
Accidents? Well, that's just putting it loosely because, once again, I mean, unethical and illegal.
Right,
So
right.
Wrong on so many different fronts. Next up, a middle school in Chungju has asked the police to investigate this self-purported car racer on their grounds.
Right. So someone during the Lunar New Year holiday brought their car. They drove into a middle school in Chungju and drove donuts. So in
I haven't
Korean,
heard that
we call
word
it.
in forever.
I know. Oh my god. I know.
Donuts?
It's so middle school.
Yes.
I mean, ironically, it's basically drift is what people say. But yeah, they drove circles around the field, and it was snow covered, so there were tracks all around.
Yes.
So the provincial educational superintendent posted this clip on his social media with pictures of snow-covered fields, and you see the CCTV footage and the car. They're going at it.
Tokyo drifting.
Yeah.
On snow.
I'm like, why though? I've
looks
never.
like fun.
Does that look fun? Because I'm like, what if
It looks scary.
exactly? I'm like, it's snowy. As someone who has like a long time ago, like a decade or and a half ago in the States, like my car spun out of control on an icy road.
That's
It is
really scary.
terrifying.
Yes,
so
it is.
I'm just personally, I'm just wondering why. Well, okay, here's the problem. Apart from my fears, that school had just spent 1.5 billion won, taxpayer funds, in laying down the artificial lawn just 2 months ago.
Oh, so that wasn't on dirt, that was on artificial turf?
Well, snow covered.
Yes.
But the students haven't even set foot. They haven't used the turf because it's been winter break. So it hasn't even been broken in. Well, now it's broken. So it's ruined. So the
Yes.
superintendent said that construction had been going on for about a year. And unlike most schools, during the holidays, public schools will have their doors wide open for their parking lots to be used by visitors. This middle school was locked.
Oh.
Maybe because of the turf.
Right.
Except for a 3-meter wide corridor next to the podium. So it's kind of like hidden away to the corner for students to pass through. It was obviously not intended for cars, but this person or the driver somehow found his way in. Apparently, a similar incident happened in the neighborhood some 3 years ago at a different girls' middle school.
Okay.
And it apparently takes about 3 years to repair the turf.
Wow, that's like of detriment to the students, the school, and just wasted money. We need to know. Who did this?
We do know. So the police received the report and confirmed via tracing down the CCTV footage. This was a rental car.
Oh.
And there is paperwork. So they traced it to 2 men in their 20s, out-of-town visitors. They testified that they had put in an order at a takeout chicken place nearby. And while waiting for the
that
food
chicken?
to be prepared, they decided to take a joyride. So the school, and I think this is generous, that they're going to request that these individuals pay 5 million won, 500만 won, for compensations, more of like a warning, kind of a symbolic gesture that it will not go unpunished. But once again, let's go back to this having been a 1.5 billion won
Why only
project.
5 million won?
I mean, realistically, I guess realities, practicalities, yeah.
All right.
Right.
Well, let's move on to our next story. So, we've been talking about, Canada, Mexico, the U.S. quite a bit. So, Mexican president, I looked up her name on NoTube yesterday. Claudia Sheinbaum is supposedly how it's pronounced, has sent a letter to Google in protest of the company's renaming of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This
There's
whole
a
issue.
map naming issue going on between the U.S. and Mexico because this follows President Donald Trump's declaration to rename this body of water, which known as Gulf of Mexico for a while, to the Gulf of America. So Google followed suit, saying that Google Map users in the U.S. will see this body of water as Gulf of America.
Really?
U.S. Google Map. Well, it said basically this is in line with its practice of applying name changes when they have been updated in official government sources. So then what about the rest of the world?
Yes.
Of course, users in Mexico will continue to see Gulf of Mexico. The rest of the world will see both names.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
that's, I mean,
interesting.
as a country which has territorial, well,
Does that also mean that like then all maps should say
exactly,
East Sea
exactly,
and something else?
and then something else? Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen that, so it's
Right.
interesting
Power of
where
the
the
US.
corporation has been selective in these official government changes.
Yes.
We're just saying. In any case, going back to this particular issue, President Sheinbaum, she showed this. She's drafted a letter, sent it to Google, showed the letter to reporters, saying that, well, Mexico is completely sovereign, as is with any country, 12 nautical miles from the coastline. And that is the standard worldwide. So if any country, including the U.S., wants to change the designation of something in the sea, then it should only be Gulf of America within the 12 nautical mile range, not everywhere else.
Okay.
She then also proposed if you're going to go by historical records, then if someone searches for America Mexicana or America Mexicana in the search engine, a previous map, for instance, from 1607, which labels a large part of North America Mexican America, because it used to be property of Mexico.
Yes,
Texas
yes.
used to belong to Mexico.
Right.
Then shouldn't that appear if you're going to apply that standard?
Okay, touche.
Spicy. Yeah.
Right there. All right. Lastly, this story is related to our ubok. And
Yes, yes.
It's all about dental health.
All right, show of hands virtually. How many of you floss, period, and floss daily?
Not every day.
Okay, not
I'm
every
not
day.
gonna lie.
All right. Because once again, you are
Yeah.
genetically blessed with strong teeth. Because some people are more
Yes,
prone to
yes.
cavities. Some people have just stronger teeth. But, as the saying goes, your teeth are your best friend.
That's true.
Take care of
I
them.
feel guilty now.
So, according to experts, how do you take care of your best friend? By flossing. So, this is actually an American Heart Association study.
Not a dental?
Not dental,
American
but
heart.
teeth and heart. Also, flossing at least once a week. So you're good. At least once a week, it reduces risks of stroke. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And now we're going on to the brain matter.
Okay.
So acute ischemic stroke by 22%, cerebral embolism risks by 44%.
Hence, we're getting it from the American Heart Association. Okay.
Yeah. So this was upon a survey of 6,000 people, which showed that flossing at least once a week reduces your stroke risks. But the more you floss, the lower your risks are.
Wow.
Okay. So why? Because our producer was like, what
Where's the
science
connection?
are you?
Yes.
Well, because bacteria. Oral bacteria within your gum line and
Yes.
between your teeth and gum. Because flossing prevents that bacterial buildup between your teeth, so that reduces the risk of oral infections. And basically, your mouth is kind of the entryway for all germs and bacteria and virus.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I
there's
have
that.
a feeling you did your research, as you always do. So, the order of oral care, do you have it for us?
Yeah, so do
Okay.
you, all right, question. I have the answer. There's a right answer.
Okay.
But do you brush and floss or floss and brush? And by the way, flossing is 치실. So what do you do first?
I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
I brush and then I floss because I
right.
want to make sure. I'm probably doing it the wrong way, but okay.
All right,
I guess
So, well,
correctly.
I mean, hey, anything is better than nothing.
Okay.
But floss, brush, and if you do, mouthwash. So,
But I heard that mouthwash may not be
M. Yeah, I mean, so it's just
Yeah.
FB. Yeah,
An animal.
floss
An animal,
and
yeah.
brush. Because what's really interesting is because you really want to get that first, get all the
gunk out.
gunk first, and then brush. And then this is what's interesting. American experts and some Korean dentists have said this as well. They recommend, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it, not gargling or rinsing out your toothpaste. So spit it
I've
out,
heard of it.
and then that's it.
You're supposed to let it sit. Just
Let it sit. The
Right.
fluoride, because that has the cavity preventing abilities. So you want to retain as much fluoride, and I believe that's pruso in Korean, on your teeth after you brush as much as possible. Because apparently it needs like 30 minutes to be fully effective. And it's not toxic. So, but then here's the thing, because your toothpaste is not 100% fluoride. It also
Right.
has other agents to make
Right.
it foam. So I'm like, I don't
Do
want.
you really not rinse?
I rinse, very thoroughly. But
Yeah, I rinse too. But
So I want an expert to weigh in on this because
Can we get a dentist?
Yeah, can we? Can you?
피디님, 우리 치과 의사 선생님 한번 모실까요?
Right.
네.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe like he or she can bring like diagrams and like they can come into the
Yeah.
studio.
Yeah.
We could have like a 101 on dental care. Any dentists out there that want to come on our show?
Anyone? Friends? Recommendations? Yes. So I'm a little iffy on the spitting out of the toothpaste part and the rinsing it off part, but definitely floss. And then brush.
Yes. And whenever listeners 성이 이름님, they say 저는 치실 먼저 하고 양치해요.
Ding 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 ding. There you go.
For you, you're doing it the textbook way. So you must have really good teeth. Well, thank you for all who are smiling.
As I'm flashing my
Thank
pearly
you for
whites.
all the Waga news. We'll check in with you tomorrow, Haley.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And let's get to your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your updated traffic report. There was an accident on Luno Samsangdaedo from Myeongho intersection to Myeongji underpass. This it was a 3-car collision right before the underpass, so it's causing a lot of backup right now. Also congestion on Byeonglo going into the city around the Wondong interchange to the Gangso police station. There is traffic buildup on Nakdong-Namno from Cheongyangsa-Ogui intersection to an area right there, and also slow from the Hwangyang Tunnel going towards Seomyeon. As for the weather, it is currently -6 degrees under clear skies. It's going to go up to 3 degrees today. However, wind chill factor, it's going to be much colder than that. And there is a cold wave effect preliminary report in place over Busan. Across the nation, another cold blast with morning lows of -10 degrees or even colder. Heavy snow coming down in Jeolla, Jeju, Ulleungdo, and Dokdo. This was your updated traffic and weather. All right, let's get to our next song. This is Burning Heart by Survivor.
Two worlds collide, rival nations. It's a primitive clash, pitting years of frustration. Bravely we hope against all hope. There is so much at stake. Seems our freedom's up against the ropes. Does the crowd understand? Is it east versus west? All man against man. Can any nation stand alone? In the burning heart, just about to burst, there's a quest for answers and unquenchable thirst. In the darkest night, rising
Welcome back, everybody. So we've been talking about the 5 health-related fortunes here in Korean culture, or if we say 오복. I've been saying 오복s just for fun. I'm going to read Layla's comments. She says, Good morning. 저는 감사하게도 예쁜 치아를 가지고 있어서 치아 광고 모델 해도 되겠다는 말도 듣고는 했답니다. 와우. 시력은 좋게 태어났는데 어릴 때 안경 쓰던 친구가 부러워 일부러 눈이 나빠지게 TV를 가까이서 보거나 책상에 엎드려 공부하곤 했어요. 후회됩니다. Wow, so Layla says that she was blessed with really good teeth to the point people would say, hey, you should like be a model, be in commercials for like anything related to teeth or anything related to maybe toothpaste, I'm thinking. So that's how pretty her teeth are. So you are definitely blessed. And who else? What else? She says that she was blessed with good eyesight, but she really some of her friends had glasses and she wanted to wear glasses. And so she regrets watching TV really up close and doing a lot of study 엎드려서 hunched over and doing her work that way. So she regrets it now, she says. So thank you for the comment though regarding that. What about Umberto, who says, I am in good health, but according to my roommate, I need a hearing aid. 보청기가 필요하대요, Umberto, because I don't listen. Umberto, I don't think that's a real hearing. You have what I call selective hearing that might be very common for some, not all, some hubbies out there. So I'm just saying that, of course, there are all people, walks of life who have selective hearing. And I'm thinking though, I'm sure all of you out there have something that you're really grateful for, even if it doesn't fall within the 5 said fortunes, whether it's the teeth, hearing, sight, etc. So maybe today you can think about what you're grateful for, even if it's just overall good health or something else that you're really grateful or fortunate to have. So maybe we can end it on that happy note. And I'm going to be back with our special interview. Well, we've been talking about this for quite some time right now. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced new tariffs on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China, sparking global trade concerns. And so the plan includes a 25% tariff on Canadian and Mexican goods and a 10% tariff on Chinese products with a lower 10% rate for Canadian energy exports. These tariffs, which were set to take effect today, have raised fears of higher consumer prices and trade tensions. However, as we reported yesterday, Canada and Mexico, they have been able to agree on this temporary 30-day suspension of the tariffs, for further negotiations. And we heard just in news highlights about China and their retaliatory action as well. We're going to find out more. We have invited back to the airwaves Professor Grant Rear, who's a senior research associate at Campbell Public Affairs Institute and professor of political science at Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. Welcome back, Professor.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Yes. So if we can get into first the primary reasons behind President Donald Trump's decision to impose the tariffs on these 3 countries, Canada, Mexico, China, at this time.
Well, he's got somewhat different reasons in each instance.
Okay.
And he's using these, I think, as economic saber rattling, essentially, to try to leverage change from all the countries. And he's had some success so far. Whether this is a smart or not smart way to go about trying to leverage that change is an open question. But in the instance of Mexico, what he wanted was more effort from Mexico to keep immigrants from coming across the border without documentation, coming across illegally. And then also he wanted more effort to stop the movement of fentanyl across the border as well. Most of the fentanyl coming into the United States comes across that border.
Yes.
In Canada, he says that he was concerned about the border and fentanyl, and he has leveraged some changes there in Canada on that. But I almost think the maybe ulterior motive might have been more just to show that he could do this and to be able to influence Canada in this way. And then on China, he's looking for better deals. He really does think, and he's not alone. President Biden continued the tariffs on China that President Trump put in place in his first term, by and large, and so he's sort of jumping off from that point and wanting to get better trade deals from China and using the threat of tariffs as a way to try to leverage that. I think that's what's going on there.
Yes, yes. Thanks for explaining how it's kind of different for every country right now. And these tariffs, how do they compare to Trump's previous trade policies under his first term?
Well, he used this mechanism in his first term. Now he's already come out of the gate and at least sort of claiming or proposing to do a lot more than he did the first time around. But you did see the use of tariffs. They resulted, by one set of economists' estimates, in about $80 billion essentially in taxes for Americans in his first term. What he is putting on the table this time, not yet gone through with, and we need to bear that in mind, leaving room here for bargaining and all these instances is a lot bigger number, though, and Americans would pay a much higher price if all these were to go through.
Yes, yes, indeed. And so if we can now talk about how these tariffs are going to impact the U.S. economy, particularly concerning the consumers, because as consumers, we definitely, anywhere across the world, we don't want to hear, oh, prices are going up. But what might some of the ramifications be right now?
Well, you hit it. I mean, prices. If the tariffs go into effect, the prices will go up.
Yes.
Those things are going to be passed along to consumers and consumers at all parts of the supply chain. So, if I need parts to build a car, then that car is going to cost me more to build, and you're going to have to pay for it when you buy the car. So the more tariffs that are in place, the higher prices are going to be for consumers. It's pretty straightforward. I think the economists are, in consensus on that. If you get a situation where there are a lot of tariffs and you get into essentially a tariff war, then you can start to do some serious damage to your economy. And then you start to worry about things beyond just prices going up on certain things. I think you have to start thinking about economic recession and that kind of thing. And that's just a word that no American president wants to hear.
Oh, absolutely. And so if we can now turn our attention to the diplomacy that I'm sure has been happening, the conversations that have been had. So we found out yesterday that, Canada and Mexico, respectively, through their leaders, that they have been able to secure a temporary 30-day suspensions on the implementation of these tariffs. So can we learn a little bit more about that?
Well, yes. The United States is essential for the economies of those two countries.
Yes.
We are huge trading partners with each of them. But our economy is so much bigger than either of theirs that if there was some sort of mutual harm done by tariffs, they're going to feel that a lot more than we are. And so they obviously, for good reason, are concerned about that. And so what this illustrates in a general way, which is very, very similar to previous Trump, is a focus on bilateral relationships rather than multilateral arrangements and alliances. So he's thinking of each of these as a bilateral exchange. I'm going to do this with Canada. I'm going to do this with Mexico. I'm going to do this with China. And so it's not surprising to me. It's, I think, somewhat humiliating, especially to Canada.
Right.
But it's not surprising that they discovered at the 11th hour that they could do the things that the president wanted them to do. And he's going to frame that now as a victory. Like, here, I said I would do this. I got these countries to do this, and we're not even paying for it. That's the kind of narrative that you're going to get from the president on Mexico and Canada.
Right. But I also want to focus on how China has responded. Different thus far. I know that there's room for discussions this week, but thus far, China seems to be retaliating economically, tit for tat. No.
Yes, and China is a much bigger player. They've been down this road before with the United States. They are not going to be intimidated in the same way.
Right.
That's all obvious. I still think, though, that President Trump is playing for some kind of deal. I don't think because you're playing with economic fire when you do this kind of thing with China, and I don't think he wants that outcome. So I think he's still looking for some kind of deal, and it doesn't surprise me again that this set of tariffs that have been announced on both sides have dates in the future rather than starting right now.
Yes. So we'll, of course, keep an eye on what might happen this week. Now, let's talk about, if we can, who or which countries or regions might be the next possible target. So the European Union, are they next in line?
Well, this is a president. Once he gets something that works, he's going to want to keep doing it till it doesn't work. And so, it would not surprise me. There are other mechanisms that he can use there in Europe having to do with NATO and the amount of essentially water or weight that the United States carries for the collective defense of Europe. So that's a very strong card that he has played in the past. I would expect to see some talk about that as well as any kind of tariff talk. But certainly he thinks he's won. He's won in Mexico and Canada, so might want to try the recipe again.
And I know, Professor, of course, you're not an economic expert, but looking at this from a diplomatic point of view, the relationships between each of the respective countries with the United States, Korea included, there's a lot of tension, fear, angst among the countries right now who are kind of like waiting to see, what's going to fall next, right?
Well, and this is exactly Donald Trump's MO. I mean, he did not get the nickname disruptor in chief for nothing the first time.
Yes.
And so he's doing that again. I think this time around, he's more disciplined in his disruption. And in that sense, then for other countries, perhaps even more of a concern.
Yes.
But I think the world knows what they're getting now with Donald Trump. And so on the one hand, I can understand the worry and the angst and the concern. On the other hand, there's also a lot of bluster to this guy. And I think other countries have to be seeing that by now. And so you have to take everything that comes out of his mouth with a very large grain of salt in terms of the follow through. And so I'm hoping that our friends around the world understand that and will factor that into their calculation about how they're going to respond.
Yes. Well, of course, we're all waiting with bated breath to see what happens next. But in the meantime, thank you so much for coming on air with us and enlightening us with your opinions and expertise on what's going on right now. Thank you, Professor.
Sure. My pleasure. Thanks.
This was Professor Grant Rear. Once again, we talked about Trump's latest tariffs on Canada, China, Mexico, European Union, Korea. Who knows which region or country might be next? We will definitely continue to follow what happens. And let's take a short song break. So here it is. This is Love is a Wonderful Thing by Michael Bolton.
Simply spread their wings smile through the pouring rain. Love is a wonderful thing. I'll say it again and again. Turn your life into one sweet dream. Take your heart and make it sing. Love, love is a wonderful thing. Oh, when the cold wind blows, I know gonna be there to warm me. Yeah, that's what keeps me going. Our sweet love gonna keep on growing. Just keep growing. Love is a wonderful thing. Make you smile through the pouring rain. Love is a wonderful thing. Oh yeah, I'll say it again and again. Can turn your world into one sweet dream. Take your heart and make it sing. 'Cause love, love is a wonderful love. Love is a wonderful love. Love is a wonderful thing. Love is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Oh yeah. Love is a wonderful, wonderful thing. My love, wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. Love is a wonderful thing. Love is a wonderful thing, baby. Love is a wonderful. My heart is so sweet, baby. Love is a wonderful. To make your life complete. Love is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Love is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Love is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, 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 wonderful thing, darling.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for Skills 101. We have Jennifer here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
what
freezing
a
morning.
beautiful Wednesday morning, though.
I know, it's beautiful.
freezing, but beautiful.
I'm
It's very
thankful.
cold, but
Yes.
a friend of mine from Yongin came to Busan on a business trip, and he commented how warm it is.
Well, compared
Here,
to Yongin,
yeah.
can't complain. Hey, today we're talking about the 오복스. Or I want to include one more. 육복이라 합시다. 센스.
Very important.
How do we say sense in English? Like
sense, 눈치.
눈치. So it's like 그런 거 진짜 영어로 like when we translate, it's like the direct translation. I know there are a couple ways to say it, but it's like not exact. It doesn't hit the nail on the head. But you know, seriously, I wish, like, I think, was it Jin Lee who mentioned it first, saying, oh, may not have the genetic blessings, but they believe they have, sense는 있다고 해요.
Oh, yes.
sense
That's
진짜
very
중요해요.
important.
I think that trumps everything.
Yes.
다른 거 없어도 진짜 센스 있으면 you can get far in life. 룸메한테 좀 팍팍 주고 싶어요.
오복,
yes.
good teeth and good eyesight,
hearing,
yeah.
good
What else?
digestion.
Oh yeah, that's important.
So what do you have? What are you thankful for?
Oh, well,
it's okay to
I
brag.
think
Everybody's been bragging.
I was given them all, but well, I was silly enough when I was a teenager.
Yes.
I had my eyes tested, and my mom took me to this optician, and I pretended not being able to see things because I wanted to wear glasses. So I lied to the optician, saying, "Oh, I can't see. I'm blur." And then I ended up wearing glasses, and now I have to wear contact lenses every day.
I breathed in so like I was like, ugh, because I have a similar experience. Not with glasses. I wanted braces.
Oh, really?
Because all my friends had braces.
Oh.
So, excuse me. What I did was, I got a paper clip.
Oh.
And I unfolded the paper clip, and like I would walk around pretending I had braces, even though I didn't need braces.
Those things we do, like.
I don't know why at this time I always.
Maybe your throat is getting dry from talking too
All
much.
right, so let's get into our topic.
Okay. Today's topic is something I personally wanted to discuss with you and with our listeners. We are talking about polarization, something we see every day and everywhere. 오늘은 양극화에 대해서 이야기를 해볼 거예요. So in politics, at work, in schools, and even in families, you see it every day. It's exhausting to witness. And sometimes it feels like this whole society is splitting apart. Oh, yes. Are you all right? So it's really sad to see. I mean, I've seen people cut off friendships and even family members just because they disagree on certain issues. And in extreme cases, it leads to outright hostility. Like verbal abuse and even violence. 요즘 양극화가 심해지면서 어떤 하나의 이슈에 대해서 다른 의견을 가진다는 이유만으로 가족도 관계도 끊어버리고 친구도 더 이상 보지 않고 이런 일들이 너무 많은 것 같아요. So it's like people like forget that we are all human, just with different perspectives. You know, sometimes you meet someone who's genuinely a good person, but their beliefs or values are completely opposite to yours, which is okay, you know. But you get along so well and have a good impression of each other, but then one issue comes up and that changes everything. And suddenly, like, you're distant and even critical of each other. They suddenly become villains overnight just because of some disagreement. It's really sad to see, right? So, are you okay, Catherine? Are you feeling better now? Great.
If only you guys could see what was going on. The producer was crawling on the floor trying to get me
some water.
Is my mic on? 마이크 올리셨죠? 마이크 올려주세요. What happened was I was perfectly fine. I was over the cold.
Then you started choking.
I started choking. And then our producer went to get me water. And then she was coming in and she was crawling on the floor. And she tripped over her scarf.
Oh no.
Okay,
네, 이게
we're
바로
okay.
생방송의 매력입니다.
저 지금 진땀 나요. Okay,
it's okay.
We're okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
Back to
holding down
polarization.
The fort.
Yeah. So we just because we disagree, it doesn't have to. We don't have to damage our relationship.
Yes, yes, that's true.
I feel like there's so much hate in this society nowadays.
There is, and like we need to get away from that, don't we? Because it's so negative. It's so detrimental to everybody.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It really is. It damages everything. The trust,
Yes.
breaks relationships, and it can just harm whole communities.
Right. All right. So tell us more.
Yeah.
So
and the more divided we become, the harder it is to find solutions and recover.
yes.
And it creates sort of an us versus them mindset where people aren't just disagreeing, they see each other as enemies. And that's dangerous.
That
and we are
is.
grown-ups. We shouldn't be like thinking like that and doing things like that.
We are adults.
Yeah.
But we all mature differently. And like you're so correct in saying that though, because like I feel like it shouldn't be a zero-sum game where like, okay, A wins, so that means B automatically loses. It doesn't have to be like that. But we sometimes kind of are pinned against each other or we see ourselves that way, right?
저는 가끔 걱정돼요. 이제 다음 세대가 이걸 보고 뭐를 배울지.
That's true.
Yeah, we're really worried about
Yes.
the next generation.
Yes.
So we have to do something about it.
Yes. So what else can we do? Is there anything else we can do?
Yeah, I'd like to share some practical ways to reduce
Okay.
polarization in daily life.
Okay, so first, what do we have?
Practice active listening. So instead of preparing a counter argument,
Okay.
try truly understanding the other person's perspective, where they are coming from. I know it's very tempting to say something like, are you out of your mind? That's nonsense. You're crazy. But
It's so easy.
Yeah.
너무
but-
쉬워요, 그렇게 대답하기.
근데 instead ask, why do you feel that way? For example, if someone expresses a strong opinion about a political issue, instead of immediately disagreeing and criticizing, attacking, you could ask, can you tell me more about why you feel that way? So this shows that you are genuinely interested in understanding their perspective.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you agree, but you try to understand. at
Okay,
least.
okay. I think that's something that we can, we do need active practice in doing that though. Even with the active listening, we can practice. We can try until we get it. What
Because
else?
it's very tempting to say mean things, right?
Because it's like a natural defense mechanism. As soon as you hear something, you want to kind of hit back, but you got to kind of. What I do, nowadays, what I really try to do is like kind of swallow and like breathe. And at least count to 5 before I respond.
Yeah, people say like really absurd things
Without thinking.
Yeah, like 미쳤어요. Like, are you crazy? Yeah, and
that's true.
Okay, the
Right.
second solution
Is?
is to try to find the common ground. Even in extreme disagreements, there are
Yes.
often shared values, like wanting safety, fairness, or happiness. We all want that, right? So, for instance, you might disagree on how to achieve economic stability.
Yes.
But both parties likely agree that economic stability is important.
That is a good point. That is really important. Finding that common ground, because you're not going to agree on everything, but at least finding some commonality that's going to get you somewhere. Okay,
Yeah.
finally, what else?
Finally, engage with different views. Read, watch, or listen to content outside your bubbles, not to change your mind, but to understand how others think. So think about a buddy cop movie where two totally different people are forced to work together. They argue, but in the end, their differences help them succeed.
Right. And I know that may sound kind of cliche, but also especially if you're on your phone and looking at media content, the algorithms, whatever you click on, you're going to get more of the same to reinforce the same opinion.
Exactly.
You're not going to get a wide variety, right? So I think we have to be very mindful of that. So that's a great point indeed. Right.
So I think we need to be mindful of the media we
Yes,
consume.
yes.
If we only surround ourselves with voices that confirm that we already believe, we will never understand the bigger picture.
That's true.
For example, if you only follow social media accounts that share your views, you might miss out on understanding why others think differently. Because there must be a reason, right?
Right. So I'm definitely also going to try to click on more media accounts that maybe I don't necessarily always agree with, whether it's, A, news agency, B, and also C and D as well. Because I don't only want to be partial to news that focuses on things from one perspective. So I'm going to tell myself to do that as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
our parents' generation, they watch this kind of news and
Yes.
they read the certain newspaper. But I tell my mom, instead of saying, oh, don't watch that. Instead of saying that, I ask her to try different
Yes.
different things.
And there are so
Refer
many
different
exactly a
media.
wide variety of media, whether it's the legacy media, the main channels, and the cable channels and newspapers, and just a wide variety. We need that, but in our daily relationships as well, right?
Yeah, and even if we can't completely bridge the gap,
Yes.
we can at least try to see their perspective, understand where they are coming from, why they are thinking that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to leave us with before I let you go?
Okay, and if the relationship is really important to you and you
Yes.
feel like you're losing them and you might lose control of your emotions or lose someone valuable,
Yes.
it can help to set ground rules to avoid discussing certain topics for a while. Not avoiding it completely for
Yes.
good, but you can say, okay, let's leave it at this for a while. and we can discuss it next time.
I like that. We can discuss it next time.
Yeah.
It's okay to not solve things right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, today I want to give you an extra big hug and thank you for carrying the segment while I was on the floor crawling to the...
I'm glad you're feeling better.
정말 이럴 때는 이 being like on like having the camera on before when we were only on radio we had like a cough, literally it's called the cough button where I could press something and my mic would go mute and I could cough and I wouldn't have to worry. We don't have the leisure of that anymore. So thank you. And of course the listeners for understanding, and of course a big thanks to our producer who crawled like a soldier to get me the water tripping on her scarf.
모두 너무
근데
수고하셨습니다.
우리 진짜 너무 배가 아파요. 너무 그러면 안 되지만 죄송합니다. And we'll check in with you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Well, it's time to wrap up for today. I swear I will bring in water myself every day, even though I'm feeling so good right now. I apologize once again. Final song for today is this one, 소나기 by Eclipse. Have a wonderful day. Stay warm, everybody. Bye-bye.
처음 그대 내게로 오던 그날에 잠시 동안 적시는 그런 비가 아니기 간절히 난 바래왔었죠. 그대도 내 맘 알아요. 매일 그대만 그려왔던 나를 오늘도 내 맘에 스며들죠. 그대는 선물입니다. 하늘이 내려준 홀로선 세상 속에 그댈 지켜줄게요. 어느 날 문득 소나기처럼 내린 그대지만 오늘도 불러봅니다. 내겐 소중한 사랑. 떨어지는 빗물이 어느새 날 깨우고 그대 생각에 잠겨요. 이제는 내게로 와요. 언제나처럼 기다릴